currently letting people in. If you have colleagues and friends who want to join us today, tell them we still have room in the Zoom room. And of course, we'd always like for you to say hello in the chat box. Ayan. Hi, Lovelyn. Hi, Rodelyn. Hello, Fritz. Ayan. Joyce, alam mo, feeling ko ang dami na nating bagong constant attendees kasi kilala na rin nila kung sino tayo.
Yes.
Yan. Hi, Maria Genona, si Shaz, andito din. Tignan nga natin quickly lang sa chat. Sino dito yung naka-attend ng all 3 webinars natin for February? Ayan, si Ayana daw. Ayana was able to attend all 3 topics. Karen din. Hi, Karen! Thank you for joining us again this afternoon. Si Edne, si Isa, si Ana Margarita, she's always with us. And a lot of people are raising their hands as well. Sino pang nakikita mo, Joyce?
Ayan, sabi ni Hazel, 2 lang daw sa kanya. But it's okay kasi at least, di ba, nandito ka ngayon with us. Ayan, si Rodelyn. Rodelyn naman sabi sa YouTube stream lang. Ayan, welcome sa Zoom room, Rodelyn.
Yes, dito nakapasok na kayo. And sabihin nyo kung may mga friends pa kayo na nasa Zoom ngayon. We still have room. We have 1,000 seats for you guys. And we still have time before we officially start this afternoon. And don't worry, para dun sa mga nakamiss nung mga previous sessions natin, they are all actually uploaded on YouTube. So don't be shy. Visit our YouTube channel and you can rewatch the webinars there.
Yeah, and i-follow nyo na rin po kami para updated kayo, diba? So, ipopost namin sa YouTube.
Tama! And ang dami na, no, Joyce? Ang dami nilang pwedeng pagpilian na topics about leadership, about well-being in the workplace. Ayan, sabi ni Adrian, hindi nakaabot sa survey last week, sayang but very interesting ang topic ng self-compassion. Bawi ka today, Adrian. Ayan. Pero Joyce, alam mo, I think yung pang-cap off natin this February na topic, I think it's something everyone needs to know.
Yeah. And kasi 'di ba Gabi, parang hindi naman common sa ating mga Filipinos yung mag-no. Parang sa atin, yes lang. Kaya ang dami sa ating mga kalad-karin talaga eh.
Totoo yun, Joyce. And ang masama kasi pag nag-yes tayo madalas, tayo yung nauupos. Kaya tingnan natin how we can better show up in the workplace, di ba? By being able to communicate our needs. Yeah. So, let's just wait for 1 minute more. We still have people coming in the waiting room. Kung may mga katabi kayo sa offices nyo or like chat nyo yung mga friends nyo who you think needs to hear this message, please do ask them. Send them the yung link natin dito sa Zoom para makasama sila sa atin this afternoon. Sabi ni Rodelyn, last week's topic is really nice. Yeah, ayan. So reminder lang na we will be giving your certificates at the end of the webinar. You have to answer the evaluation form that we will be giving when we are done with the discussion. So we hope na you can stay all throughout para talagang ma-maximize natin yung learning time natin this afternoon. Okay, so I think we're ready to start. Are you guys ready? Can you type in yes in the chat box? If you are ready to start.
Yan, ang dami na nag-yes.
Ayan. So at least alam natin nakikinig sila, and we hope na you're comfortable wherever you are this afternoon. Get your pen and paper, and I think, let's start. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third and final webinar for February, which is entitled Learning to Say No, Communicating Your Needs. Again, we're positive workplaces, and our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And we are able to do this through the positivity ripples. And sabi nga namin, di ba, na the positivity ripples actually start with you. Kaya we are providing these webinars with different topics so that you can, di ba, build your knowledge on positive psychology, on leadership, on how to lead yourself better. Para in the event na you are in a workplace, makikita nila yung mga ina-apply yung knowledge, and you will be able to lead others. And kakalat lang yon until you are able to lead cultures and ultimately create positive workplaces. And this February, we've been discussing breaking free from toxic workplace cultures. At sinimulan natin yon with Sir Louis Banta, where we talked about how to deal with toxic bosses. And then last week, di ba, we showed ourselves some love by being able to learn skills on how we can tame our inner critic and practice self-compassion in the workplace with Miss Karen Fernandez, who is also with us here this afternoon. And today, we're going to learn how to say no. Isa yun sa mga mahirap sabihin, pero isang very important skill na we all should have so that we will be able to communicate our needs. But before we do start, just a few reminders.
Ayan, so have a pen and paper ready kasi for sure marami po tayong learnings this afternoon, and participate through the chat and Menti. And you may also ask your questions through chat and Pigeonhole later. And ayan, yung eval forms po at the end of the webinar pa siya ini-issue, and dun sa mga nasa Zoom room only. And remember 10, yung title ng webinar, check nyo po mamaya yung evals kung tama yung title. So learning to say no po tayo ngayon. And then yung email, please provide your real email po and yung working para hindi na siya napupunta sa spam or anything. And your name kasi hindi na po siya mapapalitan. Ayan. And then for any concerns about evals or certificates, you may email us at engage@positiveworkplaces.org. And we will only be entertaining inquiries regarding evaluations and certificates up to 1 week after the event. And please po, wait for your certificates kasi pag marami po tayo, mahirap po ma-process siya. So, yun lang.
Yes. Ayan, thank you for those reminders, Joyce. And I think that will really help make our learning session this afternoon smooth. And may nakita ko sa chat box, Joyce, may nagtatanong na kung meron ba daw tayong ibang webinars for March. And yes, we do have. Kaya hold on kasi we are going to announce kung ano yung mga topics natin for next month, and we will be sharing the links later. But for this moment, we'd like you to settle down. Ayan, ang dami pa rin pumapasok sa waiting room because we are going to start learning to say no, communicating your needs with our Chief People Officer and our mentor, Gio Kapinpin. Hi, Gio!
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome sa ating webinar for our last webinar for February. So, una-una, I want to acknowledge Ms. Karen's presence. I really am honored. No, I was able to catch a portion of your webinar from last week, and nakakatawa talaga yung content. So it humbles me to know that you are witnessing as well the content that we will be sharing for today. And batiin ko na din ang aking mga co-celebrants for February. No? So if you didn't know, I actually celebrated my birthday last week, February 23. So if meron pa pong mga pahabol na nagba-birthday today, like my dad, happy birthday din pa. Happy birthday to all of you na nagsa-celebrate during the month of love. Ayun. So, thank you so much for everybody greeting a belated happy birthday. And yon, batiin nyo rin po yung mga ating mga co-celebrants ng February. Yan. Alright. So, hindi na tayo magpapatagal pa. Let me get started on our webinar for today. Right? So, good afternoon. My name is Gio. I am the Chief People Officer of Positive Workplaces. A lot of the work that I do is based upon positive psychology. So, yung mga matututunan po natin techniques today and practices, they're all rooted in the idea of positive psychology, the science of well-being. So hopefully you get to take away a lot of learnings from my experience in dealing with this topic. Okay. All right. So learning to say no, communicating your needs. Our topic for today, will go like this. Okay, we'll answer first. Number 1, bakit nga ba necessary ang personal boundaries sa workplaces natin? Number 2, we'll get to answer now. What are the boundaries that we can set at work? All right. And then finally, we're also going to also discuss paano nga ba natin i-communicate yung boundaries natin sa team natin. So, yes, we're going to identify how can we actually say no to people. Pero syempre hindi naman no lang yung kino-communicate natin sa mga tao, no? When we start understanding that our boundaries are reflections of our needs and to be able to communicate them about how we want them to be respected, it's essentially letting people know na we're not comfortable doing certain things or we do not want to take on certain things. So essentially, we are saying no through the honoring of our boundaries. Ayan. Yes, exactly, no? Tinutumpak na kagad ni Emily. Sabi niya, personal boundaries tend to establish respect. Love that, no? So, pusuan po natin yung share niya na yan. It's totally on point to our topic. Okay, so based on these questions, ito yung try nating intindihin about learning to say no today. If at any point meron po kayong questions na naiisip sa ating topic, maybe in the discussion you're realizing na, oh, he hasn't talked about this, maybe I can ask it. Aanyayahan ko actually sila Gabby and sila Joyce to message our Pigeonhole chat already. So you can already start thinking about the questions na you want to be answered by the end of this discussion. And hopefully, I'll try to keep my presentation a little bit shorter so that we have a lot more time for our Pigeonhole questions. Okay, so please keep submitting your questions. Gusto ko pong makapagkaroon tayo ng open discussion regarding boundaries and how to communicate in your own experiences sa workplaces nyo. So that would be really awesome for us to have more discussions on. All right? So, una-una nating sagutin bakit nga ba necessary ang personal boundaries sa workplace. Before we truly get into our discussion, let me start by asking you this question. Okay? How do you feel about taking vacations? Okay? How do you feel about taking vacations? Now, I want you to answer sa ating Mentimeter. Okay? Sa Mentimeter po tayo sumagot. We have our QR code. Please use your phone to scan through the QR code. If you're on your devices, a laptop, or even you're in your phone and you can access our chat, feel free to click dun sa link na yun, walang problema. And then, kapag naman you're still struggling, put on that code, na you can just go to menti.com and then you can type in our code 32452240. Alright. So, ayan. Okay. Nakakatuwa po yung mga nagre-respond dito. Okay. So, let me just share this quickly. So, I'm asking, how do you feel about taking vacations? Okay. So, I was a little surprised na may mga iba na hindi comfortable. Maybe some people who shared na they're not comfortable taking vacations or they don't, parang hindi sila comfortable sa vacations. Maybe you can let me know in the chat why that's the case. Pero we're seeing a lot more people share na how they feel about taking vacations. Diba? Parang, tara na, let's go. Excited na sila. Katulad nung ating GIF dito, di ba? Talagang ready na siya sa mga bag niya. So siguro ganun, yan. Pero nakikita natin, no? Yun, may nagsasabi walang gagawa daw ng work mo after vacay. So natatambak lang. So parang ang pangit ng feeling, right? So actually, medyo related yung next point natin dito. Okay? So, isipin nyo ngayon na you're on your vacation. Isipin nyo ngayon you're on your vacation. Yan. We'll still stay on Mentimeter, okay? So, sorry. Ayan. So, stay lang po muna tayo sa Mentimeter. Here's our next question. Ayaw niya mag-share na maayos. Ayan. Okay. There we go. All right. So, again, imagine niyo na nasa vacation kayo. Let me ask you this question now. How would you feel about being messaged about work or asked to do work during your time off? So whether vacation sa weekend or yung kunyari nag-leave lang kayo for today or meron kayong hot long week break or maybe even parang end of day na, no, during your time off, wala na kayo sa trabaho tapos mini-message pa kayo about work or pinapagtrabaho pa kayo. How would you feel? Yan. So we're seeing a lot of people chime in here, no? In all caps, sabi ni Mr. Talakan, annoyed, frustrated, disappointed, stressed, worried. So nakikita natin, no? Ayan, sabi pa nga ni Anna, this is an actual real life experience for her. Nangyari daw yon na nasa New Zealand pa siya tapos tinawagan pa siya, di ba? Tapos, so we're seeing a lot of very interesting responses here, right? Na ang daming nakikita na hindi maganda yung feeling nila when they're being messaged about work during their time off. A lot of people are saying annoyed, irritated, bad trip, stress. No, yung iba parang may pawis na lang sa ulo, parang mapapakamot ka na lang. Ano ba naman tong buhay, di ba? Disrespected, feeling irritated. Right? So, doon po sa mga sumagot ng mga negative emotions na yan, no? How come that's the feeling? Maybe you can type it in the chat or I'll try something different now. If you want to actually participate here, maybe you can raise your hand and then we'll have the team unmute you, no? So, again, feel free to type in sa chat natin or if you want to share about your own experience, no? Pwede po kayo mag-raise ng hand, no? So, Ma'am Mary, I see you're raising your hand. Do you want to unmute and share feeling negative about na may message kayo about work? Yan. Ma'am Mary or si Ma'am Mary Ann? No, baka pwede pong mag-unmute isa sa inyo and you can talk about your experience. Yan. Ayan. Yes, Ma'am Mary, we hear you, yes.
Hi. Good afternoon, sir. I-relay ko lang yung experience ko. Kasi
Sure.
sir, HR head ako ng company. So talagang, ika nga 24/7, let example sa trabaho ko, sir, 24 hours yung production namin. May time na
Yeah.
madaling araw, kailangan akong tawagan ng guard.
Yeah.
Kasi merong na-accident, merong na-atake, may mga case na namatay. So may mga ganoong sitwasyon. Kasi minsan, syempre hindi naman mawawala sa company minsan, sir, yung mga dole related. So minsan may mga, actually sorry sir, hindi minsan madalas nangyayari. Ganon. Sa tagal ko na rin sa service, kaya talagang very stressful. Kaya pa nakita ko yung phone ko na may tawag yung guard o bisor o si boss, ang laging nakaset na sa mind ko, naku, may problema. Yan, sir. Yan ang i-share ko po.
Diba? Nagke-create siya ng a lot of worries for us. In a time na hindi na natin gustong mag-alala. Diba? Madaling araw na bigla ka pang mapapaisip right? So, totoong-totoo yung sinashare ni Mary. And maybe a lot of other people are sharing that same sentiment na, when we are out of work, that creates a lot of frustration, di ba? Nasistress tayo. Yun, sabi pa nga ni, may stimulus response kagad, no? Right away. Merong kagad message na titrigger na tayo. And makikita natin na may mga ibang tao na na-annoy no? Kasi hindi pala urgent, pero ginugulo yung oras nila. So merong experience na it's totally unpleasant when we know we don't want to be bothered with work, and yet work is brought in our lives again. No? So what we're seeing here, okay, what we're seeing here is that ito yung experiences ng boundaries natin when they're crossed. Maybe they're established, maybe they're not. The important thing here is that when may sensation na parang hindi na ata to yung time or yung place na ma-experience ko tong bagay na to, ito yung parang sensation na may boundary nang natatamaan. So, things like what people are sharing, nai-irritate, na merong sense of may disrespect, no? Paminsan anger. And I don't know, Ma'am Mary, if this is true, pero I'm sort of getting this energy na it kind of create resentment towards the work na lagi na lang na naiistorbo yung tulog o yung pahinga, na tapos yun yung na-associate mo na sa work mo na ang bigat pala nung trabaho ko, ang bigat pala maging HR, ang bigat pala na ganito lagi yung inaasikaso ko. And that creates that automatic resentment, di ba? And yan, no? So when we experience these negative emotions, ang nangyayari sa atin, experience natin yung stress. Marami nagsabi niyan. And the other part is, we also experience this fight or flight response. Nasubukan nyo na ba yung nagbakasyon na nga kayo, tapos may message pa kayo? Paano kung pwede nating i-itcha yung telepono sa dagat, di ba? Ang saya. Right? Di ba? Na kung pwede lang, no? At wala na, nakatakbo na tayo from the work, then it would parang bring back that power to us. Hindi ba na, ay, okay, medyo nakadistansya ako sa work. Or dahil nanggigigil tayo, no? Parang posible pag tumawag sa phone mo na gitna ng weekend or gitna ng vacation, napapasabi ka na lang na, ano ba yan? Ang bastos-bastos naman ito, wala na to sa oras, di ba? Diba? So lumalabas yung fight response din natin. In totality, whatever experience it might come through, disrespect, resentment, and anger, tapos nun natitrigger yung stress response natin, ultimately what happens is that we suffer the effects of decreased well-being. Hindi ka na nakapahinga, 'di ba? Ang pangit pa ng pakiramdam mo. 'Di ba? Nanggigigil ka pa, hindi ka pa okay yung feeling mo dun sa mga coworkers mo. Right? And that entails na nagsasuffer din yung performance mo at work. You no longer enjoy going to work. You no longer perform well in work. These are all part of the experience of when boundaries are crossed. Yan. Yan. Syempre, no, I wanna just acknowledge yung chat ni David, no, na syempre hindi applicable sa mga disaster relief people yung gantong sentiment. But definitely, meron pa ring boundaries na hindi man oras yung pinag-uusapan natin, merong ibang boundaries na pwede pag-usapan. We'll get to that in a bit. All right? So, what we're seeing now is if our boundaries are being crossed and it all boils down to magsasuffer yung well-being natin, what happens now is that when we have clear boundaries, okay, napoprotect yung well-being resources natin. All right? So, di ba? I think that makes sense for a lot of people. Now, let me ask you this question. Sino dito pinapahalagan yung well-being nila? Maybe you can raise your hand or give your heart reaction. If it's important for you that you have well-being, raise your hand or give your heart reaction. Diba? Siyempre, marami sa inyo nagsasabi ng ganyan. I'm not so sure who really doesn't want their well-being valued, no? But it's such an important part of our life now. Natutunan na natin yan since the start of the pandemic. Napakalaking bagay na pinapahalagahan natin yung well-being natin, right? And you see a lot of people in the chat agreeing with that sentiment. Sobrang importante ng well-being sa buhay natin. So, what we're actually noticing here is that kapag ang isang bagay mahalaga, no, it is also something that is personal and a valuable resource for us. So again, when we talk about clear boundaries, we're able to protect our well-being resources, or we can say that we're protecting our personal and valuable resources. Okay? So, ngayon, pag pinag-usapan natin ngayon ang pag-set ng boundaries para tayong nagbabudget ng resources natin. Okay? So, imagine niyo na meron tayong ah, bibilang lang yung number na pwede nating ibigay or ilaan. Okay? Kahit yung happiness natin, yung attention natin, yung energy natin for the day, lahat yan finite resources. Personal and valuable resources natin yan. At kapag nag-set tayo ng boundary, sineset din natin yung budget. Hanggang ito lang ang kaya ko ibigay today. Hanggang ito lang yung kaya ng emotion ko muna. Hanggang ito lang yung oras ko. Ito yung pag-budget natin. So if we take a look at the example now of how we typically budget our time. Let's say that's our personal and valuable resources, di ba? Makikita natin na more often than not, baka ganito yung pag-distribute natin ng oras natin. No, gusto natin may enough time tayo for work, meron tayong enough time for rest, meron tayong time for friends, family, exercise, partner, right? Ito lahat nito mahalaga para sa atin, no? Kaso, kapag sinet nga natin yung budget natin, ito dapat yung lahat ng matamaan ng oras ko for today. Tapos nun, hindi na yon na marerespeto. Biglang sasakupin ng work lahat ng oras natin. Nakikita nyo yung effect? Di ba? No, lumiliit yung time na meron tayo for other things that are important to us, like fun, rest, and friends. And sometimes, nabubura na sa resources natin yung ibang gusto nating bigyan ng oras. No? So, yung ibang gusto nating paglaanan ng resources, hindi na natin mabigyan kasi naubos na. So, for example, in the boundary that we set with time at work, no, if we give and sacrifice more of our time for work, and typically this is the case that we experience a lot of us in the corporate or government world, ito yung nararanasan natin na kailangan natin medyo magbigay pa ng oras natin, 'di ba? Yung ang bayad sa OT TY na lang, 'di ba? Yun yung nararanasan kadalasan. So ang nangyayari is nawawalan tayo ng oras para dun sa mga ibang bagay na gusto nating pahalagahan. Right? Lumiliit din yung oras na gusto nating bigyan ng oras, 'di ba? Yan. So a lot of people are agreeing here, and we're seeing now that Imagine niyo ngayon na wala ka ng oras para sa rest or konti na yung oras mo for rest. Imagine mo ngayon na wala ka ng oras para mag-bond sa family mo who brings you a lot of joy. No? Imagine mo na lang na nawala na yung oras mo for exercise. 'Di ba? That keeps you healthy. Sabi ng doktor, kailangan mo na nga daw mag-exercise kasi tumataas na ang sugar level. No? Imagine mawala yung lahat sa'yo. Babalik at babalik tayo sa problema na nagsasuffer yung well-being natin kapag hindi natin inaayos yung boundaries natin, when we do not set up our boundaries, and when we allow people to cross those boundaries. No? It's very, very important that we safeguard those boundaries because even at work, magsasuffer yung performance natin. And, di ba, the way that we show up dahil nauubusan na tayo ng resources. Okay? So ngayon, ang question ko, ano nga ba yung mga boundaries na pwede nating iset sa work? Medyo madali sabihin yung di ba? Oras. Medyo madali sabihin na, time is one of the easier ones that we can set boundaries for. No? Yan. Sabi pa nga ni Lovelyn, dun sa kanina kong point, na pag nagkaka-stress na, maglalabasan na lahat ng sakit. Kasi ganun kabigat ang effect ng stress and mas mababang well-being sa atin. So, again, ano nga ba yung mga boundaries na pwede natin iset sa work? Okay? At madali yan actually sagutin based on this framework again. No? Na we said, clear boundaries means na we're protecting our well-being resources or we're protecting personal and valuable resources. So, mayroon akong question that I will offer you to answer. Alright? So, sa buhay nyo, ano yung mga iba't ibang bagay na pinahahalagahan nyo? So we talked about personal and valuable resources. Ano nga ba yung mga valuable resources na yan? What things do you value? What are the different things that you value in life? Feel free to submit as many answers as you want through our Menti. No? Ayan, no? People are already sharing. Family. Napakadali. No? Family. Pero siguro marami pa sa inyo ang bukod sa family, meron pa kayong naiisip. No? So, yan, people are sharing health. Again, we have our Mentimeter, so please answer there. Okay? All right. So, we're seeing people share about family, health, faith, no? Ayan. Family, friends, mental health, physical and mental health. Ayan. Family, education, personal relationships with the Lord, marami pang sumasagot diyan, peace of mind, no? Ang daming sumasagot, ang daming magagandang sagot dito. Let us try to see. Let me try to scroll through our responses, ha? Sorry, wait. Ayan. Ang daming sumasagot. Ayan. Okay, nagsuscroll down na siya. Yan, we're seeing a lot of people, no? Family, friend, God's health, me time, peace of mind. Yan. Ito, ang ganda ng answer na to, no? Families, memories, friends, bondings, experiences, time. Ito, nagsasabi, recreational activity, nagva-value siya ng relationships, no? Yung family, yung pets. Okay? So we're seeing a lot of, ito, may tranquility pa. No, we're seeing a lot of varied answers of what people value. Okay? And nakikita natin na hindi lang work yung binavalue natin. Now, what we can begin to understand is when we talk about boundaries, the easiest clue to share na pwede ba tong maging boundary sa work? Can I set this up? Is then we ask, mahalaga ba to sa'yo? So if the answer is yes, most often than not, no, it is something that you can create a boundary for. Pwede nyo siyang i-protect na dahil pinahahalagahan nyo siya, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng time or ng place na hindi to pwedeng magalaw. Dito lang siya. This is well protected. I am doing everything to protect it. So ano yung mga iba't ibang examples na binigay nyo? No? And I think these are very clear examples that we can think about in the workplace. Unang-una, personal time. Personal time. Number 2, positive relationships. No, yung mga relationships na na-enjoy natin. Number 3, feeling safe and having peace. Marami nagsabi niyan. No? Maybe not really a lot of people are sharing about it, but I'm sure this is one of those things na hindi nyo man sabihin, you still feel that this is true about you. Having privacy. 'Di ba? Gusto natin pahalaga na meron tayong moments to be in private, to be on our own. Even pag love na love natin yung family natin, 'di ba? Gusto rin natin mag-isa paminsan kasi may mga bagay na in private talaga natin pinagdadaanan. We also want to have we also value our own thoughts and emotions. Meron tayong mga sariling opinions na gusto nating pahalagahan, no? Akin to, opinion ko to. This is what I believe in. And then finally, personal belongings. A lot of people didn't really talk about that. Pero I'm sure that kasama sa mga bagay na pinapahalagan nyo ay literal na mga bagay. 'Di ba? Actual things that you owe, no? Pinaghirapan nyo, no? And syempre, ayaw nyong masayang yung mga bagay na yan. Bahay, yung ref, TV, no? These are personal belongings that we have. And of course, you also bring in belongings to work. So we'll go through each of these. Okay? Each of these. So unang-una, personal time. Pag sinabi natin na yung boundary nyo tungkol sa personal time nyo, usually it's about choosing how we spend our time. Choosing how we spend our time. So, ang example nito is, sasabihin natin na, kapag may vacation time ako, ito lang yung oras na pwede kong ibigay. Okay? So, during my vacation this weekend, I can only give you my first half of Saturday, no? na yun lang yung makakapag-respond ako. Otherwise, hindi ko masasagot yung question kagad. Now, I understand that some people don't have that luxury to beg off their time, no? Na, kapag ganito lang yung, kapag ganitong oras lang ako pwedeng maabot. Kung disaster relief or very urgent yung nature nung mga emergencies that you're dealing with in your job, you can actually talk about how to reach you during those urgent times, no? Yes, meron kang phone na people can call you. Maybe there's a way that you want to be reached out during your off time, no? Pwede bang text muna kayo so I can actually move away from be in private and give me 5 minutes to make that call para masagot kayo ng maayos, no? Or maybe you can message me and then wait for 1 minute so that I can call you back, no? So it's important that we're finding ways to make sure that our boundaries are respected, especially when it comes to our time. Hindi naman sa ayaw natin maging available sa mga tao, pero kung magiging available tayo para sa mga tao, sa mga workplaces natin, we have to be able to, importante sa atin na maramdaman natin na kung paano natin gusto tayong ma-approach and when we want to be approached, that is respected. Okay? So personal time, that's number 1. Number 2, positive relationships. Sorry po. Thank you for talking about it. Ayan. So again, we have personal time, positive relationships, feeling safe and having peace, having privacy, own thoughts and emotions, personal belongings. Okay? So again, it's personal time, being able to choose how we spend yung time na meron tayo. Next. Positive relationships. It is being able to choose who we spend time with and ano yung kind ng relationships dynamics na meron tayo. So sa workplace natin, no, typical to, no? Sasabihin natin na pwede bang baka meron tayong mga hindi tayo comfortable to make friends closely or meron lang hangganan yung pagiging close mo sa mga coworkers mo. If that is your value, no, na parang you don't want crossing your personal and your work life boundaries, you should be able to express that. No, na sorry, I'm not comfortable bringing in my personal life to my work, so I would rather not share, no? Yan. 'Di ba? So, yes, no, sabi nga ni Kenneth, no, importante dito sa positive relationships natin is yung mga makakasalamuhan natin sa team natin, naiintindihan tayo, no? So, especially, no, ito, I think this is very important. A lot of the times, no, na we feel that when we have managers, no, na kung ano yung gusto nilang pakikitungo, dapat ganun tayo. Parang dapat payagan natin yung ganung setup, right? Pero hindi yun necessarily yung dapat, 'di ba? So whenever it comes to your managers, maybe we can tell them na I want this to be completely a very professional relationship, no? So hopefully na we don't make jokes about personal life, ganyan. So yung dynamics na yun, you should be able to choose how you want that because even with a clearly defined relationship with our coworkers can be very positive, 'di ba? Kapag nafi-feel natin na alam mo, I can totally enjoy the relationship I have with my coworkers, no? May mga topics tayo na hindi natin pinag-uusapan pero merong mga topics na sobrang comfortable tayo and we get to enjoy that. Then it becomes a positive relationship for us at the workplace. So super important that we have these spaces where we can acknowledge the kind of relationships that we only want to have. Yes, no, sabi niya so maraming ang nagsasabi in the chat right now na hindi ganun kadali, no? Not a lot of people understand you. Not everybody returns the favor, no? So that's why we're going to try to understand now paano mga ba natin i-communicate itong mga needs na to. Okay? So hold on po muna tayo sa mga concerns na yan. We're going to address those in a bit. Okay, next. feeling safe and having peace. So, isa sa mga boundaries din natin na gusto nating mapahalagan is yung nararamdaman natin na comfortable tayo, safe tayo, at peace tayo sa kahit anong situation. No? Pwede nating yang hingin because who wants to be constantly stressed, constantly uncomfortable, and constantly unsafe, right? We have to be able to, we have the right to choose to feel this way. So, kapag meron po tayong mga situations in the office na hindi natin nararamdaman na nare-respeto tayo or hindi na tayo comfortable, we should be able to exit. We should be able to say na, I'm no longer enjoying this conversation. Hindi na po ako natutuwa. Out na po ako dito. Hindi na po ako okay sa conversation natin. Hindi na po ako comfortable. Wag niyo na po ako isama, no? Or kapag alam niyo na merong constant conflict with someone in the workplace, no? Pwede niyo sabihin na, hindi kami actually nagkakasundo masyado ni ganito. Pwedeng hindi ba natin muna pwede bang hindi muna kami mag-work on this particular project and hanapan muna natin ng way na we can deal with it first before actually putting us together in the same project. So, ito yung mga ways na kailangan natin hanapin na, sige, ito, nasan yung comfort level ko and hanggang saan lang ako willing maging uncomfortable. Yan. No? So, someone is directly messaging me na marami nga daw mga managers today who are in power, no, na inaabuso nila yung mga employees nila because kaya nilang they can get away with their influence because they are in the upper echelons, no? So yes, that is definitely true, and I think what matters in the situation now is that if hindi ka pa nakapagsubok mag-speak up about it or to find ways to find support in that struggle, we're allowing ourselves to continually experience that then. So kung alam na natin yung need na hindi na ako comfortable, I no longer want to be uncomfortable in the situation, kailangan na natin maghanap ng paraan na mas makakatulong sa atin here. Yan. Okay? So next, privacy. Okay, privacy. So nakikita natin na marami talaga na mga problema sa topic na to, no? Or people are experiencing a lot of issues regarding with boundaries. So another area where we can feel this wanting to be respected about is yung choosing who gets to access your personal and private information at nakakapili kayo when you can be alone. So examples of kapag alam nyo na you need to put down work time, no? 1 hour mag-work ako and kapag may nag-iistorbo sa akin, hindi na ako makafocus. So pwede bang ito yung time na hindi nyo kayo istorbohin, right? So we're now understanding that we can show people na this is something na we want to safeguard, our private time to work, no, or our private time to not be bothered. Ito lang yung oras na hinihingi ko na hindi ako istorbohin. Can I have this moment? No, or declining to share about your address or your salary. No, a lot of times ito yung concern na marami na hindi naman sila comfortable dun sa mga pinag-uusapan sa workplace kasi medyo personal na, hindi na naman gusto. Although maraming tao na comfortable mag-share ng mga ganyang information openly, if that's not the case for you, you should be able to speak up about it. I don't discuss that information openly to everybody. No? Kung hindi yun para sa iyo, wag niyong hahayaan na mabully kayo into sharing about that information. Ayan. Okay, let me see if I can resolve yung issue with the slides. Marco, please let me know if you're able to see the slides clearly. In my screen naman mukha siyang nabubuo. I want to just acknowledge then there are a lot of questions coming in privately through chat. Maybe we can bump up yung Pigeonhole link for Gabby and Joyce. Please bump up our Pigeonhole link so people can refer their questions there. And hindi po natin masayang yung mga beautiful questions nyo. I don't want to waste our beautiful questions. So our Pigeonhole will be the right repository sa mga beautiful questions nyo. And when we were able to spend some time checking on those questions, masasagot ko yun lahat. Okay? All right. So having privacy, next is own thoughts and emotions. So another area na we can put boundaries on is yung kapag gusto nating ma-express ng mga feelings and thoughts natin and to be able to disclose them when desired and kapag appropriate. Okay? Kapag appropriate. So what happens here is maybe merong team discussion tapos nun nag-unanimous vote na or parang maraming strong voices na nagsasabi na ito na lang gagawin. Tapos isa ka dun sa mga nag-iilan lang na hindi nag-agree dun sa mga pinagbobotohan nyo ngayon. So maybe to have that opportunity to share na, uy, hindi ako okay dun sa gagawin nating strategy. Pwede ba akong mag-share na bakit hindi ako okay? Or this opportunity to be able to talk about yung hindi katulad dun sa mga the thoughts and the decisions that you want to make about your work, they're not totally in line dun sa mga katrabaho mo. No, pwede kayong maiba. You can have your own thoughts, you can have your own opinions, you can have your own values. So when you stand by them, you should be able to stand by them. And syempre kung nagiging group decision to, kailangan lang mas mahaba yung pag-usapan, pero hindi naman pa pwede na hindi ka na nagkaroon ng pagkakataon to talk about what it is that you have a different opinion on or a different value on. Yan. Okay? So that is thoughts and emotions. Tapos finally, no, personal belongings. Ito medyo siguro marami din nakaka-relate nito. No, syempre naiinis tayo kapag bigla tayo nananakawan ng pen, nauubusan tayo ng mga papers sa desk natin. I don't know how many people still experience that today with a lot of the offices being virtual, no? Pero ito yung mga common na nangyayari, no, na choosing who can use items you own and when they can be used. No, so this is a clear example for me for before na yung hinahayaan natin yung mga office mates natin na mag-borrow, no? I know Gabby's sorry Gabby kung malalaglag ka na auntie, no, na I know si Gabby ano talaga very particular with the pen that she wants people to borrow from her. So ako nirerespeto ko talaga yun na ito lang ang pwede mong hiramin na. So kapag nagmi-miss ako ng pen, I have to ask her politely about that about yung pen na pwede ko lang hiramin. So that's just a common example, pero marami pa yan, no? Sometimes we buy our own staplers, we buy our own paper. 'Di ba common pa nga to dati sa classroom back when we were students, no? Common yung merong nagdadala ng malaking sheet ng paper, no, yung pad paper nila, tapos nung paminsan yung iba nasanay na kumukuha na lang dun sa pad paper ng iba para may pangsagot, di ba? Yan ang dami nagsasabi kahit nga daw may mga pangalan yung gamit nila, nawawala pa. So you can see how these are things that we want to have boundaries for, and we want people to respect that, no? Baka meron din sa inyo mga nagiiwan ng pagkain sa mga pantry sa office, tas pinapangalanan nyo, tas nawawala. Yun talaga mababad trip din ako. So I totally see where people are coming from. Ayan, no? Mismo no, ibabalik pag ubos na. So nakakairita talaga. Okay. So ayan. Alright, so ito yung mga iba't ibang spaces na we want to have boundaries on, and these are just some, no? So again, if value nyo siya, or you want other people to value that about you, you should be able to talk about a boundary here. Another example, marami nagsabi faith, no? And medyo sensitive topic siya in other offices because not a lot of people practice the same faith, or not a lot of people are comfortable practicing faith in the office, no? Yung may nagpe-prayer before meals, merong mga hindi talaga nagpa-practice, right? So in those instances, dapat mapag-usapan din natin na sobrang important sa akin ng faith ko. I don't need you to pray with me or to practice with me, but I would love to have some privacy to be able to practice on my own. Diba? Itong mga spaces na to, kasama din yan sa mga pinahahalagahan natin. So I just listed some of them, but again, if it is something that you value, you should be able to protect that resource for you. You should be able to protect and safeguard that as something that you value. And you talk about how mahalaga yun sa'yo na marespeto ng mga tao. Okay? So, ngayon, gagawin na natin yung mismong sinasabi natin. Okay? Yung paano nga ba natin i-communicate yung ito yung gusto natin mangyari. Okay? And I'm not saying this is going to be foolproof, but we want to be able to practice in such a way na we're also building the relationship positively with whoever we're sharing our boundaries with. Okay? So maybe it your coworker, maybe it your manager, maybe yung direct report nyo sa yung subordinate nyo mismo. No? We're going to now try to practice a way where even in positive workplaces, ginagawa namin to ha. So nakikita nyo na this is a directly applicable and practice skill set. Yan. Okay? So we're going to talk about communicating your boundaries. And to be able to communicate your boundaries means you get to keep those boundaries. So tandaan po natin, okay? Tandaan po natin yung keep. So ano yung steps ng keep? Unang-una, know your values. Pangalawa, express nyo yung needs nyo. Pangatlo, establish yung consequences. And finally, give your praise. Okay, so we'll talk about them one by one. But unang-una, okay, we want to know your values. And yun na yung ginawa natin. Yun na yung ginawa natin dun sa unang question ko kanina. Diba? Sabi natin, ano yung mga pinahahalagahan nyo. So the fact that you named them a while ago in our Menti is a starting place for you to understand ano nga ba yung mga values nyo. Now, the other side of that is, given the list I showed you a while ago, okay, given the list I showed you a while ago, itong 6, okay, personal time, positive relationships, feeling safe, having peace, having privacy, own thoughts and emotions, personal belongings, if these also resonate with you, i-note down nyo yan. I-note nyo na para sa sarili nyo na next time, alam ko na ito yung value na gusto ko marespeto ng aking mga coworkers about me. Okay? Yan. So, kailangan natin alamin yung values natin. Next. Yan. No? Next is, kailangan na natin mag-express ng needs natin. Okay? So, the way to express our needs, no? And I'm seeing a lot of people share na meron na silang experiences of hindi naging maganda yung pag-set ng boundaries nila. No, tinawag silang suplada, hindi naman nila sinusunod, no? So we're going to try to find ways now to address that. So one of the things that I think is most powerful na is to talk about yung bakit mahalaga yung mga bagay sa atin. Okay? Bakit mahalaga yung mga bagay sa atin? And one of the ways that we can talk about that is when we talk about when we're at our best. Ito ginagawa namin talaga ito sa positive workplaces. So if you could answer this question, no? You get the best of me when blank. All right? So example, no? So in our workplace we talk about you'll get the best of me when I'm allowed some heads up before our meeting that ito yung agenda na pag-uusapan natin. No? So, one, it creates expectations. Two, it also helps me to align na kailangan ko ng agenda para makapag-prepare ako sa meeting. Okay, so that's one of that. Now the other is you also get the best of me when I get a full night's sleep. Okay, that's also possible. Also, you get the best of me when I get to take my rest over the weekend away from work. No, ito very specific yan, right? So yung mga gusto nating ways to be able to work and to enjoy work, kasama yan sa boundaries. So, ngayon, we're seeing that a lot of people are sharing their answers here. So, let's go through them one by one. Okay? So, we're seeing examples here. Sabi nyung iba, no, na you get the best of me when they spend time hanging out and travel, na kapag nirerespeto daw sila, when I know what to expect in advance, kapag clear daw yung goals, kapag nare-respeto yung time, kapag na-appreciate sila, kapag nakapagpahinga sila, kapag inspired sila, no? I'm informed ahead so I would know when and how to act. I have enough sleep and I have my alone time. You talk to me in a nice, respectful way. So ito ngayon yung mga iba't ibang paraan na nakakapag-show up tayo in our best selves, right? We want people to know that you'll get the best of me when this happens. Now, to continue this discussion is, ngayon sagutin niyo tong tanong na to. Okay, I'm displaying it in our Mentimeter. Now, the question is to fill in the blank, what I need is. Okay, what I need is. So, if you get the best of me when you talk to me respectfully, what I need is, ano yung example ng pagiging respectful sa'yo? No? You address me by my name. Okay? You'd never address me as such. You always call me by my title. O yung mga ganyan. No? So, intindihin nyo yung ano nga ba yung kailangan nyo in respect to yung you get the best of me. Okay? Right? So we're seeing examples here. We'll go through them again. So what I need is words of affirmation. Nararamdaman nila na sinusuportahan sila. What I need is clear instructions. Kung hindi malinaw to sa akin, no, hindi ko magagawa yung trabaho ko na maayos. Hindi ko magagawa yung gusto mo. I need time to adjust accordingly. This is a great example of the need, no, na kailangan ko nung oras na mabigyan ako nung pivot, right? Kailangan ko na honest and open yung communication natin. This is the kind of dynamic I want to have. I want a very supportive relationship with my manager. So maybe you can give me encouraging words. No? Ito, ganyan na ganyan. No? Salary increase, that's a need. Pag-uusapan yan. But definitely, it's the dynamic as well of that relationship. Can we move to mentorship? Can we have training? No, these are the things I need. No? Yan. Ito, maganda din to example. Kung may issue, what I need is you to confront me personally and not talk behind my back. This is another great example of that boundary. Yan. No, what I need is cooperation. Yan. Diba? What I need is independence. Baka may mga iba sa inyo mina-micromanage. So, kailangan yung pag-usapan yung need nyo for independence, right? So, these are just some of the examples. Now, how does this all come together? Kasi sabi natin, keep. So, kailangan full circle nung communication natin. Right? So, for example, yung case na in this scenario, no? Sabi nung person na you get the best of me when I am able to enjoy my vacation time with my family. What I need is to not be messaged during my vacation time, no? So sabihin niya, I need my weekends to be focused on spending time with my family. So ngayon, i-establish niya yung consequence. Ito yung sobrang malaking part na baka a lot of you are missing out in your communication. Okay? So yes, you're talking about what I need is independence. What I need is appreciation. What I need is na hindi mo ko pag-usapan behind my back. No, now we talk about the consequence. Kailangan clear kung yung effect nung gagawin nila. And a lot of people, most of the time, this can be more helpful because it'll create that clarity in your receiver na, okay, seryoso ka dun sa pinag-uusapan natin. You know, I won't be able to reply to any messages you'll be sending. So clear na, ito yung consequence. Pag minessage mo ko, no? Pag message mo ko, hindi mo na ako mai-istorbo. No, hindi ko rin mare-replyan. Okay. I'll give you another example. This was what we with Joyce and Gabby did when we were starting the webinar. Sabi ni Joyce and Gabby, no? Ito lahat ng expectations namin when it comes to providing certificates because we know a lot of people are asking for certificates. Pero kapag nag-process na kami ng certificates, we'll only do it 1 week from the date. Can you wait for a few hours bago kami messagein kasi baka nagloloko lang, no? Paki-check po itong mga bagay because we cannot we cannot reprocess them anymore. No? So nakikita natin na here is the clear need. Ito ngayon yung consequence kapag hindi nasusunod yung mga hinihingi dun sa receiver. Okay? And then finally, no, I think the biggest part of what will bring together this conversation on boundary is yung praise. No, na ang importante para ma-gets ng mga tao na seryoso tayo sa boundaries natin is nako-communicate natin yung values natin. We are able to express our needs clearly. We establish the consequences. And finally, wag nating kalimutan, when people are able to respect our boundaries, when people actually uphold their end, no, na ginawa nila yung need natin, no? Sinabi natin na we need support in that need, tapos ginawa nila. Let's not shy away from praise. No, let's thank them for it. Let's appreciate them for it because mas magigets nila na, oh, I'm doing right by this person. So, example, 'di ba na hindi ka nga message nung boss mo during your vacation time. You can say na I really appreciated the weekend that was solely focused on my family. Thanks for supporting what's important to me. No, maybe this might be the missing element, no, na batikos lang tayo ng batikos dun sa mga hindi nakakasunod ng boundary na hinihingi natin. But when they do, we never spend time to catch them and thank them na, uy, thank you na nasunod mo yung hiningi ko, right? Like, nagkaroon nga ng issue and then you realize, no, someone was talking about kapag may issue, what they need is respect and not to be hindi sila mapag-usapan behind their back. No, when you start realizing that there are conversations going around behind you and you see a friend na communicatean mo na I don't want to be talked about behind my back and they let you know na, oh, people are actually talking behind your back. You can actually thank them for it na, oh, I really appreciate it na ikaw hindi ka sumama dun sa pagbabackstab sa akin. I really appreciate that. No? So, yan. No? So, ayan, ang dami na nagsasabi, no? Very true na kung hindi man natin nakukuha yung results natin dun sa boundary setting natin, maybe it's that missing element that we're building positively the relationship with the people that we set boundaries with. No, na let's give them praise. Na I asked for time and you gave me time. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So, it gets that sense, parang maiengganyo din yung receiver mo na, oh, I want to keep doing this for this person because ang sarap din pala ng pakiramdam na na-appreciate yung binigay kong space or support dun sa tao na yan. Yan. Alright? So, with that, let's just review ang ating practice. So again, when we communicate our boundaries, okay, we want to know our values, and with that knowledge, we are able to express our needs. So paano ba natin express yan? We tell them, ano ba yung best na makukuha nila from you? You get the best of me when? You get my most cooperative when? You get my most present when? You get my most productive when? No, you talk about the strengths that you have and how people can bring that out for you. And you talk about the need para mangyari yon. no? So what I need is blank. What I need is you get my most creative when you actually give me some time to explore my thoughts and express them in paper, no? And what I need is that precisely, no, that space na maybe we can have a meeting where all of my ideas are seen clearly on the whiteboard, no? And makikita nga natin na okay, magiging creative ka in that process. So finally, pag-usapan natin nga, or last two, sorry, establish natin yung consequences. Bakit mahalaga yung hinihingi mo and what will happen if hindi masunod yung hinihingi mo. So clear na hindi mo magagawa yung part mo, or clear na meron na silang hindi maaasahan from you because you've already created that clear consequence for your boundary. And then finally, let's not forget, we need to praise people then, no? Na at the end of the day, we're asking people to respect our boundaries. And yes, it might be too shallow to thank people for showing you your decent respect. But I think it goes a long way for a lot of people na if you want, para lang yung pag-reward ng dog, di ba? Na when we see our pets do something that we actually want them to do, we give them a treat. And that actually encourages them to keep repeating that. So if we want to keep those results na laging nare-respeto yung boundaries natin, I think we can implement that technique and tell them na, okay, yung boundaries mo, yung boundaries ko na respeto mo. I really thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So next time, they would keep doing that. All right? Yan. All right. So with that, thank you so much sa ating mga sumali sa ating discussions on Menti, and for actively engaging with us sa ating discussion sa chat, no? Marami po ako nakita talagang buhay na buhay nag-engage sa ating discussion. Yan. So if you have any questions on our Pigeonhole, feel free to do so. Gabby, Joyce, I pass it back to you para mag-entertain ng questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Gio, for sharing us how to establish our boundaries and to communicate our needs in the workplace. Sobrang naaalala ko pa yung time na si Gio yung talagang nagtuturo sa akin ito, and it's so nice to see it in this format. Kaya tried and tested po yung mga tips na yan, and we hope na you can apply them and you can share it with us sa aming sa social media channels. You can send us a message there. But for this particular moment, let's entertain questions. So again, you can join us over at Pigeonhole. Joyce will be sharing the link in the chat box, or you can simply open a new tab, type in pigeonhole.at and enter the passcode communicate, or you can simply scan the QR code with a camera on your phone and you will be redirected to our Pigeonhole table. So Gio, we already have some questions.
Di ba? I love the space that we provided for them, di ba? Sabi ko nga, kinommunicate yung need ko na gusto ko mapag-usapan natin na maayos yung mga questions nila. So we were able to hold down a good time for them para pag-isipan yung questions nila. We're seeing very nuanced yung questions. So I really love this. Okay. Let's get on with the high votes, no?
Yeah. Actually, this may continuation siya. So in the startup world daw, projects will not materialize when no one initiates. Maybe because may competency, kulang sa competency yung tao na yun to be able to do that task. Those who are more go-getters end up doing work. This is really true. How can we be firm in protecting our limited energies and say no?
Right. Yeah. This brings me back so many memories nung also engaging with startup world, and Positive Workplace is very much that, no? Like we're also a startup. So ang problem natin in a lot of these situations is that one is driving forward projects. Now, maybe it's the manager, it's the higher up na, we're trying to set standards, or we're trying to create progress within the organization. And a lot of the times, it's that yung mga ah, yung mga nag-i-initiate, no, hindi nila ma-follow through, or that sinasabi na let's try to get at this, but who do we want people um to take on that challenge? And I think this is also very common. I can just imagine siguro mga teachers back in college or high school na alam nila may mga bibong sumasagot, no? Parang pag wala na silang matawag na mag-engage,
Default.
sige nga, ikaw na sumagot, total ikaw lang naman kung nakakaus. Parang mababad trip ka din na parang like pwede bang hindi? Yeah. So in these situations, I think a lot of the times, people will feel that they don't have any choice in being able to say na, oh, but like how is this isn't fair. This isn't fair na ako lang lagi yung uh, mag-i-invest ng extra time or work here. So we can go back to yung framework natin na keep. Okay? So again, we identify the value here, right? And it's clear with this person that they're asking na yung limited energy nila, yun yung gusto nilang i-value, no, like the energy that they have, no, the attention they have throughout their work. So it's important to them, no, to have that energy. So now, when we talk about expressing that need, no, you can talk to them about like you get my most productive the most productive version of me, no, when I'm able to spend a lot more time honing in on a project that was already assigned to me and not take on additional work, no. And what I need is to not be assigned additional work while I focus on this one. And then now talk about the consequence. Because when I'm always given additional task and I cannot focus on my energy where I want to invest it in, what we're going to end up with is always half as work. Sorry for the word, no? Yung I will not be able to provide quality output because my energy is not invested and focused in certain projects only, no? So I think that's important to create that narrative na kapag hindi nagagawa yung support na hinihingi mo to be able to focus your energy, talk about ano yung mangyayari kapag hindi yun nabigay sa'yo. Because if it's not clear for them na, oh, nagsabi na siya na, like, if you're a top performer in your workplace, it would be foolish of your management to waste your resources or your energy in diversifying yung mga initiated projects rather than actually seeing one project through. Diba? Na fully maximize yung isang project kasi na-invest mo yung oras mo. So I think that will capture that idea well. So hopefully whoever asked that question, masagot yon, nasagot yung tanong nyo. But if not, feel free to give your follow-up question. All right. So there are a lot of votes I'm seeing in other questions. Yeah.
And thank you, Gio, because we have a lot of time to answer the questions.
Yeah.
And I think this is very relatable because sa Filipino culture kasi meron tayong tinatawag na value ng hiya, 'di ba? So it's not that we don't know how to say or how to communicate our needs and boundaries, but it's more na we're concerned about how other people will feel if we share our boundaries. So ang tanong niya is how can you say no? Siguro ang mas focus niya dito is how can I deal with the negative or alam mo yun, yung parang ako yung magigilty pag sabi ko yun. Kasi is that they will get upset and a myriad of other negative reactions that they might get if they communicate that boundary.
I totally agree. That it's quite upsetting to kind of say no kasi parang paano pag hindi maganda yung reaction nila? Or paano kapag umuo nga sila pero alam ko na baka daan lang sa hiya, and this is very apparent with a lot of Filipinos feeling that way. Now, someone actually talked about this. Someone actually replied to me in or parang naging sagot siya sa chat. Ito, si I don't know how to pronounce her name, Athene. Sabi niya, first time na nag-no ako sa additional task ng HR namin, grabe ang puso, kaluluwa ko parang lalabas, parang lalabas sa katawan ko. Pero I felt better afterwards. And I think this speaks to a lot of the reality that we experience when it's our first time honoring the boundaries that we want. Yung first time natin humingi na respeto about, like things that we actually are used to not being respected, na parang never naman naging option sa akin mag-no eh. Never naman naging option sa akin to speak up. When we were so used to that and we were shamed for that, and ngayon na may opportunity tayo to actually talk about it, we have to first embrace that discomfort na, yes, bago yung feeling na hindi mo pa to nagagawa before. Hindi mo pa nagagawang humingi ng no or ng space or nung need mo, so that it's really going to be uncomfortable to do it for the first time. But like what Athene is sharing na oftentimes, sorry sa imagery, no? Pero para lang yan tayo nagpipigil ng utot. 'Di ba? Na ayaw nating palabasin kasi nahihiya tayo, may guilt, nung parang shame. Pero pag pinigil natin ng pinigil, ang sakit sa tiyan, ang discomforting. Kasi tumatahimik nga, pero babalik at babalik yung discomfort na yun. Pero pag na-release na natin siya, di ba, parang, hi, sorry sa mga naistorbo ko, sorry sa mga nahanginan, pero, di ba, ang laki ng githawa nung nakapag nautot na natin yung need natin, right? So, I mean, sorry for the imagery, but I think that captures that lesson really well. No? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a muscle din, no, na you have to practice. Na,
Yeah.
di ba, like trying any other task din, it's a muscle you have to practice. But once you get the hang of it, parang natural na rin siyang, may guilt pa rin somehow. Pero you would feel better, sabi nga ni Ate kanina afterwards.
Mas familiar na yung feeling na,
Yeah.
okay, uncomfortable, pero I know how to deal with this discomfort this time around. But at least there's also that relief that comes with embracing that discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ayan. Ito naman, I think a lot of people also can relate to this na how do you set boundaries with the boss who micromanages and continues doing so even if I've already expressed me?
Alam mo, this hits close to home for me because this is something I totally had to struggle with. And unfortunately, during that time that I was dealing with this, I was not able to resolve it. Pero if I had the opportunity to come back and redo it all over again, I think I would apply yung keeps talaga this time around. And maybe hindi pa clear sa atin what we're saying no to, or bakit nga ba mahalaga sa atin na hindi tayo ma-micromanage, or to also talk about their value. Why are they micromanaging? Maybe they're worried, maybe they're fearful, right? We can also talk about the fear that the micromanagement creates for us, right? Maybe so I would say na siguro maybe if I was experiencing this again, I would talk to my boss and let them know na, hey, I know that we've dealt with this situation before, but I think I really have to set my foot down here. You get the best of my efforts, and if that matters to you at all, you get the best of my efforts when I am allowed to independently work and explore and fail and succeed at my own terms. No, so if that matters to you, that matters to you, that you get to witness me give my best and give my full quality work, that would also have to be on my terms, where it's possible that I create steps or tasks or complete tasks in a way na it's not necessarily like how you want it to be done, or it might incur some errors, but that will allow me to actually learn better and to serve my projects with more clarity, knowledge, and capability next time around. So if you're always if you continue to micromanage me, I will no longer develop the skill set to actually independently work because you're always stepping on my territory to work independently, right? And maybe, maybe that will set it up. I don't know. If not, that's why I left that work, that workplace when that happened. Kasi ano na, you could feel the genuine, sorry, the ingenuine parang treatment, no, na hindi, they don't actually care that you are your own being and you get to actually support the company in a meaningful way for you. No, they're more about numbers, they're more about productivity, and kaya yung micromanagement na una because they're more fearful of not meeting their targets more than the possibility na, you know, risking not meeting those targets to see your people grow and develop. Because to be honest, growth never happens if all of the things are determined in such a way na hindi mo na ma-experience yung ano yung tama, ano yung mali. Sinasabi na lang sa'yo kung ano yung dapat.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
sino bang estudyante natuto sa, oh, ito yung sagot ah. Di ba? No one really learns and develops their capabilities further when they're always given the right answer all the time. People need to fumble, people need to find their way, and I think that's what a manager is supposed to be able to do for his role, because his role is to take care of his people, to develop his people. No, so you might have a really bad boss if that is the case, kung talagang micromanagement ang approach nila. No, so yan.
Yeah, thank you for that, Gio. And may mga ano tayo sa chat box. I'd like just to
Mhm.
na there were times na they said no, and ang feeling naman, or like what the impression they got from others is that they are unable to perform their roles and responsibilities. Tapos yun nga, they appear na magiging bad sila. Tapos may iba nagsabi siya ng no, tapos hindi na siya ulit binigyan ng task.
I
Diba?
love that. So
It's a culture, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, you know, the first instance that was brought about, yung parang nag-no sila, tapos nun na-bring up yung possibility na hindi nila magawa yung tasks and responsibilities nila. And I would argue that in that scenario, you were bound to not meet your targets because humihingi ka na nga ng support eh. Humihingi ka na nga nung boundary, 'di ba? And maybe it wouldn't have happened that instance, but I can imagine that they would have never seen you succeed further or to understand better your relationship with your work kapag hindi nila hinayaan yung opportunity na yon na gawin mo yung boundary na yon. And to be honest, I think that is the consequence of our autonomy na, no, na because we are able to ask for our boundaries, no, hindi natatanggal yung expectation na we're still able to serve our tasks and our job as intended. So maybe next time it's about asking for that boundary, and then talking about yung how can you catch up on the work that needs to be done, or how can you advance the work so that when you're asking for that private time, it's magagawa mo yan. The last element to that is sometimes I believe that it's just an unfair amount of work to be done during the time that you're given to you. I don't know if this can be a best case practice for a lot of you. No, I, as a manager, believe that people who put maximum 40 hours of work scanned out in yung nakaplot yung 40 hours nila to the dot, they're you're thinking yourselves as robots, because nawawala yung flexibility na life happens. You need a little bit more time than what you prepared for a task. You need some space. Kailangan nyo nung open time para magsalo ng emergencies or ng ad hoc tasks, no? So I actually asked my team na maybe you can set up 35 hours lang for this week, and then that the extra 5 hours you can spend that more time in producing more work, no? Pero wag mong sasagarin because at the end of the day, people who work 40 hours to the dot, um, hindi nila may experience yung joy ng pagiging tao din because life doesn't work that way, 'di ba? Actually parang sa trabaho lang tayo meron nung sagradong 8 to 5 wala
Yeah.
walang kikibo sa labas ng 8 to 5, 'di ba? It's impractical because hindi rin naman ganun ka-consistent ang buhay natin. 'Di ba? Emergencies happen, bigla tayong nadjejebs, 'di ba? Bigla tayong nafu-food poisoning, biglang merong namomroblema sa buhay, someone suddenly calls up with a problem. These are all welcome additions to how life is so meaningful for us that with work, I don't think that it should be a hindrance for us to take on life while work is also happening. So it shouldn't be this clear cut of yung 40 hours mo pang work lang yan. Hindi dapat ata ganun because we're gonna keep running into the same problem that we're trying to put boundaries because boundaries can also be flexible and we need to adjust them based on what works for us, not what works for everybody else. Right?
Yeah, that's so true. And Gio, I'd just like to add na parang on the side din naman who are those people who are able to do that, na like they can be able to fit in everything in their schedule.
Yeah.
We hear you, we see you, and there's nothing wrong with that as well, as long as you get to show up fully. Pero it's also not to invalidate others, na just because they're not able to do that, ibig sabihin hindi na sila productive. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
I want to share this because one of the days na meron kaming meeting ni Gio, tapos I was not able to do yung task na assigned or like yung dapat pag-uusapan namin. Tapos nagulat ako kasi siya pa yung nagsabi sa akin na, well, I saw parang what's on the plate of ops the whole week. I wouldn't be surprised if parang ito yung isa sa mga na-deprioritize na ano natin. Na parang ako caught off guard ako because related to self-compassion, di ba? Na parang sinisi ko na yung sarili ko na, oh my God, ba't hindi ko to nagawa? Pero like looking back, it was about also setting boundaries na, yes, ito yung amount of time na meron ka, ito yung energy, and this is the workload. So it's being able to realistically parang evaluate those things also. So yeah.
Yeah. Gabby, there was one question that you posed from what you were reading sa chat and we were only able to acknowledge one of the questions kasi there was a second question. Saying no, pero I'm trying to remember which one is that.
Hindi siya nabigyan ng task ulit.
Kasi humingi siya ng boundary. Right. And that, I think that's just a matter of also parang readjusting your boundary. So, kailangan natin maintindihan na, again, setting boundaries is always the first step. And we're introducing this as a skill set because this starts out where most people are. Hindi lahat ng tao nakakapag-set ng boundaries and this might be their first time setting boundaries. Now, we're also recognizing that a lot of people have tried and have failed or have existing boundaries but kind of want to adjust those boundaries. Diba? So, hindi naman problema na parang nung dati, inaako lang natin na hanggang dito lang yung kaya natin tapos nagkaroon na ng opportunity na medyo nakahinga na ako ng onte. I kind of want to get back into a zone where I feel more challenged, right? And that happens to us from time to time. May mga times na hindi nga tayo hindi natin mabigyan yung sarili natin ng oras. So, kailangan muna natin mag-beg off ng work. And that's the fluctuation of life then. May seasons tayo. May mga times na sobrang busy ng buhay natin, hindi na natin magawa yung trabaho natin na maayos. Tapos may mga times na, wow, parang wala akong magawa. Parang bored na bored ako. Pwede na ako palang kumuha ng mas maraming challenges. Pwede ako magsimula ng project. Pwede ako nag-start ng sarili nating business. When that spaciousness comes, we can actually sort of reclaim some land back for that boundary that we set. Pwede nating i-push back ulit yung boundary. Sabihin natin na, I recognize na, last time I asked you not to disrupt my work here and etc. etc. I really love that you were able to hold back on some tasks for me. But I think this time around, no, maybe we can revisit that conversation kasi I'm no longer challenged in the work and I want to be challenged again. So maybe we can find a balance na we can check with me kung kaya ba nung plate ko saluhin tong work na to. Um, at habang nag-yes ako, walang problema. Pero kapag nagsabi ako ng no, sana masunod yon. 'Di ba? So, it's re-understanding that or parang re-establishing a new boundary. 'Di ba? Because 'di ba, na-adjust 'yan, no? So, pwede natin 'yan pag-usapan ulit. Ang ganda nga kasi nakapag-set ka na ng boundary tapos nagkaroon ng follow-through or nagkaroon ng actual adjustment in the behavior. So, it's just a matter of asking it again and parang clarifying ano ba yung mas eksaktong hinihingi mo rather than just a complete, wala ng task.
Yeah.
Yung bigyan mo ko ng task kapag pwede nating mag-offer tayo ng task sa akin tapos kapag ina-accept ko, that means I have the bandwidth for it. But if I'm telling you na, oh, I don't think I might have the time for it because napuno na yung plate ko with all of these projects I've said yes to, then maybe we can stop here. Diba? So I think there's that nuance that we also have to capture because life is always nuanced. Right?
Yes, and we still have a lot of questions coming, Gio, but I'm just also mindful of the time that it's
Yes.
already 4:30. So what we can do is, parang yung sinabi namin before, na we are gonna take note of all your questions and follow us in our different social media pages because we're gonna have our resource speakers answer these questions through short form videos. So we hope to see you there. Gio, is there any last words that you'd like to impart to our audience this afternoon before we end?
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people share about their personal experiences when it comes to setting boundaries and how upsetting the effect was after the boundary. And I think what we're noticing here now is may mga elements tayong paminsan hindi natin na-include sa boundary natin or sometimes we have to revisit our boundaries because yes, setting boundaries is the first skill set that we can take on. But as we've already evolved to, alam mo yun, parang pag-usapan natin yung iba't ibang boundaries na meron tayo. More importantly, yung iba't ibang needs and values natin. We can continually express them. So for those of you who have had terrible experiences setting up boundaries with people that you didn't want to have upsetting results with, maybe you can talk about how upsetting the result was for you. Na how come when I set the boundary, I no longer felt part of the team? How come when I set the boundary, I'm no longer given the opportunity to do other tasks? Boundaries, panibagong boundaries to na kailangan natin pag-usapan because ang nangyayari is people tend to think that once we express one need, they've already addressed every other need that we have. But that's also wrong. Di ba? Marami tayong nakita nyo doon sa mga sumagot sa Menti, di ba? When I ask you what you value for, there are so many things. Hindi lang siya work, hindi lang siya family. Marami pang ibang bagay. So sometimes we also value good working relationships in our workplaces. So if that's also important to you and that has been disrupted, we can always go back and have another conversation on setting up that need for us. So with that, thank you so much. It has been a wonderful journey. No, I think we can keep this practice now. We set a lot more time for questions and really make the content a lot more tighter para magkaroon tayo ng really engaging discussions on our Q&A sessions. It was really, really wonderful. Ang ganda ng mga tanong ng mga tao this afternoon. So with that, no, thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you enjoy the rest of yung February month natin because tomorrow is already March. So yan, enjoy your day.
Yes, this is a great way to end our webinar series this February. Thank you, Gio, for teaching us how to say no and how to communicate our needs in the workplace. So, some few reminders before we give out the evaluation form. Please do follow us on Facebook because we are going to post our announcements there and so that you can be updated with the free webinars. that positive workplaces have. And for March, we are going to talk about toxic positivity in the Filipino workplace. So kung last month, ngayong nung February, ang pinag-usapan natin is workplace cultures in general. Ngayon naman, ano ba yung mga toxic positivity thoughts na meron tayo in the Filipino workplace? So we'd love to have everyone there. Follow us on Facebook. We're gonna give out the registrations forms shortly. And we are also going to have our first our first public course, which is the Positive Communication course. So if you enjoy our content and you'd love to know more about how to improve communication lines in your organization, ito talaga yung course na mare-recommend namin sa inyo. Okay, so you can just scan the QR code. Joyce is also sharing the link on the chat box. And if you have more questions about the course, you can simply message us on Facebook or send us an email, and we'd love to answer all of your questions regarding that. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought about our webinar this afternoon. So kindly answer our evaluation form, which we are now sharing in the chat box, or you can simply scan the QR code on the screen in front of you. So once you answer the evaluation form, you will automatically be able to get your e-certificate. But of course, since we are around 800 in the room and maybe mas marami pang nanonood behind each screen, so please be patient as you wait for your certificate. As much as possible, we try to process it by the end of the day and until 1 week after. So huwag niyo po kalimutan ilagay yung tamang pangalan, tamang email address, and check your inbox or your spam folder if needed. Ayan. So again, thank you everyone. We're gonna keep the room open for a few minutes so that you can answer the evaluation form. Gio, I'm gonna send you a question. And maybe while they are answering yung evaluation form, maybe you can answer pa some questions. Are you still game pa ba? Or let's just put it in another video. Oh.
Ayan, hello. Yan, okay, sorry. I was trying to get back to my Zoom. Parang nawala siya for a minute. All right, sige, yeah, totally fine with this. Hopefully, for those of you still staying around, masagot natin tong question. No? Someone is asking, ano daw ang gagawin if you refuse to take on additional workload but you are already burdened with a heavy workload and you anticipate the management will review your refusal as insubordination? Very loaded yung situation that you're facing, no? I sense na either you know that this to be true as a practice of your organization, no, na you refusing additional workload is insubordination. You can also discuss now, ito isa sa mga techniques na baka makatigil sa pag-ask ng additional workload. Typically, we sign job offers to encompass a certain type of roles, di ba? And if you're detecting na an additional workload is actually outside of what you signed up for in your job, it is also your boundary to set na hindi ka dapat bibigyan ng additional workload na hindi mo inaagrihan at hindi binibigyan ng tamang compensation, right? So you have to ask in your workload, right? Para maybe we can establish na my workload is already filled. 40 hours na yung ginagawa ko every week. Will you pay me for additional hours for the workload that you're going to introduce on my plate? will you take away other existing projects on my plate so I can make space for this? Because at this moment, wala nang space yung oras ko. Now, if it seems like insubordination is part of the conversation here, maybe you can start involving baka kasi illegal na yung means nung pag-subdue sa'yo eh. Because sometimes that also happens na tawag dito, people are, or maybe your company is no longer parang meron ng mga specific policies na hindi nasusunod, and by doing this, no, kasi medyo mabigat na paratang insubordination. So typically that's not something that people will charge against you unless you're clearly undermining an officer or a manager, no, talagang clear disrespect. But if it's you trying to find the middle path, no, parang express to them yun you need na you're trying to find a way to be able to honor their request while also honoring yung oras mo din naman makapagtrabaho ng maayos. Hindi yung nagagahol ka, hindi yung napipilitan ka, hindi yung parang wala kang oras para huminga. 'Di ba? Karapatan mo din naman yun na makapagtrabaho na maayos. So you can talk about how you both want to honor those two things. Like na gusto ko mapakinggan yung workload na gusto ibigay sa akin. But at the same time, nabibigatan ako sa workload ko. At pag dinagdag natin yan, hindi na ako makakatrabaho na maayos. So maybe we can find a middle way, parang a pathway in the middle where we can have both, no? Or I think it's very important that we open up that type of conversation. Mahirap kasi na hindi natin susubukan. Di ba? Kasi tayo din yung maiipit in the process.
Yeah. Gio, siguro one way to end then the webinar. What is your message to managers naman who is parang, di ba, it's a new culture na we're trying to communicate these things. Na because dati naman, di ba, sa mga workplace, sige, may trabaho, bigay mo sa akin, tatanggapin ko. So, ngayon, that change in culture is the one, kaya tayo hirap na mag-express ng needs natin. What do you think is your message for everyone in the workplace on how we can try to make our workplace culture better through these practices?
Yeah, I think the most basic idea that we cannot refute talagang is the absolute fact that our employees are humans, right? And napaka-importante na ma-recognize natin na tao tayong lahat at ang bawat tao may pangangailangan. Kahit mga managers may pangangailangan yan. Hindi naman kayo trabaho lang, tapos pag uwi nyo, trabaho pa din. 'Di ba? Hindi naman din kayo hindi nyo dinadala yung mga problema nyo from your workplace to your homes and vice versa. And there are things that we want to be able to enjoy in life. And a big part of that is to be able to enjoy our work fully in the way that we want to. So I think that when we start thinking about people as people who actually want to be able to contribute to work in a meaningful way, 'di ba? Parang sino ba naman gusto magtrabaho tapos hindi sila masaya sa trabaho na ginagawa nila? Yes, marami nagtatrabaho para lang sa kita, pero kasabay din nun yung syempre gusto ng mga tao makapagtrabaho ng maayos. So kung alam natin na yun yung totoo tungkol sa mga tao, 'di ba? We should be able to also think about how can we actually enable that? Paano ba natin masusuportahan yung mga tao natin na gusto magtrabaho ng maayos, yung mga gusto makapagbigay ng effort nila, yung gusto magbigay talaga ng oras nila, and how can we support that? And a lot of that is by understanding the needs of our people, their values, their strengths, what do they want to offer? Because if everybody's offering up something, tsaka natin marirealize, hindi naman pala nagkukulang ng resources yung kumpanya. Nagkukulang lang tayo sa pag-iintindi sa mga tao natin. Right? It's a very big different mindset to have this abundance of resources that you call people. Diba? Our people are resources. So let's let's maximize the efficiency of these resources, no, by actually meeting their first need, which is ano bang kailangan ng mga tao natin.
Yes, Gio. I have nothing more to add to that. Pwede ka na mag-mic drop after nun.
Sige, try natin.
Mic drop. Come on. Yes, so thank you so much, Gio. That is a really good way, a good message to cap off our webinar series this February. So now it's already 4:45. Again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I can see in the chat box na maraming nagkakaroon ng problems sa Google Forms. Just please give it some time because marami tayong nag-access ng Google Form ng sabay-sabay. And I will ask Joyce to extend the Google Form time, open time. So kahit mga hanggang 5:10 to 5:15 kami magko-close ng Google Form so that you can have more time to answer the sheet. Okay po ba yun? Ayan. So we hope that we get to see you in the next 2 weeks. I-save nyo na ulit lahat ng Wednesdays nyo for our Positive Workplaces free webinars. So again, thank you so much and goodbye everyone.